issue of insecurity. But let's start from the basics. It didn't really necessarily go away. Terrorism didn't go to the fringes per se. We've been having pockets and pockets of, we just report them, but then what tops the headlines is Tinubu certificate saga, Labour Party versus, NMPP. Why is it that, is it our fault that we're not necessarily making it front and center, or is it that this is a trend in this country that we always not necessarily prioritize the things that are very important to us?
Excellent question, Mary, and good afternoon, listeners.
Yeah.
You see, we are becoming used to the insecurity of Nigeria, the security threat, the risk implications. When I heard about the Plateau killings, I didn't even feel it. When I say feel it, in the sense that I'm already getting used to the killings in Nigeria, and that's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be because we did not prioritize human life in our country, Nigeria. Nigeria is a place you kill 100, 200, life goes on. Try that in some advanced country, the city will be shut down. And Plateau incident is also a disturbing situation as well. So for me, I think it's a norm. We are getting used to it, and we are used to it, and that is the truth, because
I don't feel comfortable with the fact that you think that it's a norm.
It's becoming a norm in the sense that the killing takes place every day. As we are speaking now, peradventure, or in reality, there might be one or two killings going on in the north. I was born and brought up in the north. The Plateau incident is not today. The killings in Plateau State started so many years ago. It's not in this administration, other previous administration. Even the time of Olusegun Obasanjo, the first democratical civilian leader of this great nation, there were about 180 people, 130 or over 100 people. I'm not certain with the exact number, but over 100 that were killed during his time in Plateau State, and they all, giving mass burial. These are human beings. These are generations that are being wiped out from the space of this earth simply because they are Nigerians, simply because their country failed them, because each time people died unchecked, each time people die when the security measures are not being put in place, the country fails you. And when your country fails you, it's a disaster on its own. We're talking about natural disaster, man-made disaster, but this is a state disaster. So it's a disturbing situation, Mary Ann.
I've had this conversation with. Last week we had a former member representing Taraba on the show, and he talked about a lot of things. He used to head a committee on army and military affairs, so he did give us some perspective. But for someone like you who's been in the field, who's fought, in the forefront, and you've been trying to lead, the charge against terrorism, then compared to now, with how we've overly politicized the issue of terrorism and fighting insecurity, do you think we're worse off today? Or, what is this situation for the boys who are really, their job is to defend us?
Oh, fantastic. Mary Ann, you see, when we talk about terrorism has been in existence right from the 11th century. Let's not be deceived that terrorism started today. But there are four phases. The anarchist phases from 1820 to 1920, from 1920 to 1916, from 1980 to 1920. Presently, what we experience in Nigeria, in the world today, is religious terrorism. You understand? So the issue here is how prepared are we? Because you need to be prepared to take out the enemy at any given time, any day, any time, anywhere. But quite regrettable that these guys, they carry out their act and they succeed against the Nigerian state. And one major problem we also have in Nigeria is that we don't attack crime as it comes. Sometimes we pet criminals. Sometimes we pay off criminals. Sometimes we certify crime, because each time you pay off criminals, you are certifying criminality. A few years ago, during the General Buhari administration, President Buhari administration, Miyetti Allah and some group of people were paid. Is it the Fulani people or something? They were paid some billions. It was on paper, it was on air. I discussed that with you even in a TV station. So they were paid to stop kidnapping. And I spoke on many fora. I said, what the Nigerian government have just done, they have certified criminality. And what they have done, they've told the criminal element that Nigeria is a territorial space. You come, carry out criminal activities, put the government in a state of unrest, put the state in a state of fear. Then the government will call you to a negotiation table and they will pay you off. Now, the detrimental aspect of that is that each time you pay criminals, people fail to understand that when you bargain with the devil, you are killing yourself psychologically, emotionally, physiologically, and the Nigerian state will be a state of crime. That's why sometimes people think Nigeria is a crime zone or Nigeria is a crime scene. That people keep calling Nigeria a crime scene. From some of my friends from abroad, keep saying
Let me remind you of something. Just before the Yuletide season, the U.S. Embassy had, put out a statement about, sensitive places. They mentioned Abuja and told some of their people to stay away from certain hotels. They had intel that there might be attacks. And here we are. Abuja was attacked. Several other places were attacked. And I remember when the minister hit him back saying, "Oh, you're trying to, raise unnecessary concerns, blah, blah, blah." You mentioned something that really touched that we're reactionary instead of getting ahead of the situation. I mean, at first we said, we needed to buy equipment. We needed to equip the boys.
Tucano.
Yes, Tucano jets. Where are they? Why are you laughing? Where are they?
You need to ask the Nigerian military where the Tucano jets
we
are.
said all kinds of things. Yeah. And here we are again, just right back where we started. So I always struggle whether to ask this question. Is the problem with our military? Is the problem with our politicians? Or is the problem with us, the people?
Oh, Mary Ann, basically, presently we're experiencing a societal threat. Threat can be classified in different dimensions. Personal threat, individual threat, company threat, or business threats. But this is a threat that has to do with the Nigerian people, societal threats. And whatever poses threat to the human being, to human lives, the rule of engagement is eliminate that threat. Do not substitute that threat. Do not replace it. Eliminate it. Take it out, because we're talking about human life here, which is irreplaceable, because when you are gone, you are gone. Those guys that were killing Plateau State, they are gone forever. Maybe if their belief says that they are going to be born somewhere else in another part of the world, I don't know. But I know that they've been erased from the surface of the earth based on the incapability of the Nigerian security system. You see, we need to also know that security is achievable, Mary Ann. Security is achievable. If you look at the landmarks of Nigeria, we're sitting on the 923,000 square kilometers. Yes, we have multi-dimensional security threat and different ethnic groups in Nigeria, social factors precipitating the spread of insecurity. But Nigeria is not bigger than some countries in the world that are controlling the spread of insecurity. Now, we will live with crime till eternity. So I'm not coming here to tell you that we can eliminate crime or criminal activities.
But we could bring it down to a barest minimum, right?
We can mitigate it to the barest minimum. Yeah. That is where prevention mechanism comes to play. Because each time you go before the occasion of crime, security has been defeated. You don't go before the occasion of crime. You prevent the occasion of crime. That is where, like you already talked about, intelligence comes to play, because intelligence simply means something new. I got in here through the Zenith axis.
Yeah,
then
Ajosadogo.
And I find myself here. For example, if there's an incident going on there, I say, Mary Ann, don't take this route. There's a crime in progress. You won't take that route.
That's intel.
That's intel. I'm giving you an intel. Now, most of these guys, they go to their governed space. They take their shelter in your governed space, this criminal element. And I have said it on many fora that the Nigerian government needs to make your governed space ungovernable for those criminal elements. Why are you staying in the bushes? What are you doing in the bushes? Is there commercial activities taking place there? No. Criminal activities takes place in your governed space. Those places where you don't have government presence. So what we need to be doing as a government, we need to go to your governed space, take the battle to these guys. Let them know, hey, enough is enough. But we're not doing that.
Can we take the battle to these guys? Are we capable of taking the battle to them? Because, see what the Chief of Army Staff said when in the Plateau incident, that, it's the terrain. But I'm going to ask you, I'm putting you on the spot here. I know a little bit about tactics training. I'm not an expert, but I'm sure that when you were being trained, it's for every kind of terrain, the roughest of terrains. You are submitted to all sorts of things. I'm not saying you should give us trade secrets, but you know what I mean. Was that a good enough reason, an excuse enough to tell us that it's the terrain? But you came and then left the people, and then they came back and did the same thing. I'm trying to count my words here.
The beautiful terrain to engage the enemy in the whole world is in the Nigerian territorial space.
Really?
Go to the northwest, go to the northeast, beautiful terrain, except maybe in some waterfalls area or desert areas. Then you say, perhaps, for example, I was born and bred in the north. I grew up in Sokoto State. I was born in Maiduguri, Borno State. I grew up in Sokoto State, and I joined the military in Zaria 27 years ago. So when I was in the north, sometimes you can stand right here in your studio. You can be seeing mainland. That is how plain the territorial space in the northeast. You can see as far as 5-10 kilometers if you have a good sight.
Wow.
Now, when your enemy is advancing towards you, you must have the ability to identify your enemy when he's coming. So most times when I see these Boko Haram guys carry out an attack, kill the military, run into our military base, kill our soldiers, kill our officers who are trained so hard and but yet dying cheap. Because I find it so difficult to believe or to understand how you train someone so hard and you allow him to die cheap. Resources are put in place to train the soldiers. I can tell you during my days of training, my head just look as if it's bringing out smokes.
I can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell. I mean,
bringing
we're
out
live
smoke.
on YouTube, guys. You can go watch Osajie.
As if it's bringing out the training. You see, for you to pass through the hot phase of the Nigerian military training, it's not sufficient for you to die cheap. So for me, these criminal elements that are not even as trained as the Nigerian military are killing our officers, killing our colonel, killing commanders, killing soldiers. Then that tells you there's a problem in our force protection. Because these people that are protecting us, our soldiers and officers, also deserve to be protected. That is where force protection comes to play. Protecting those that are protecting us. The government needs to also start looking at force protection, because the military, without honesty, they are our angel on earth. After divine protection, God Almighty.
Absolutely.
They are our angel on earth. You know what I'm saying? So without the military, the enemy will overrun us. And that is the truth. You and I who run extra shelter. Most of the people in the Northeast, some of them have already, taken shelter. Some of them are in IDP camp. Being internally displaced in your own country land is a failure on the social system. It's a failure on our social protection system. So what we need as a country, we need social protection in Nigeria. The government must start looking at the area of social protection. And the military alone will not eliminate the spate of insecurity. Because if you want to use the military to engage this criminal element, they will kill till eternity. The whole sense of terrorism management is not to kill till eternity. It's to bring this situation to a state of peace. How do you achieve that? Then that tells you we need a political approach as well.
Stop talking about politics. I have just 2 minutes before we go on a break. Talking about a political approach here. The House of Rep member, the former House of Rep member we had on the show last week, talked about the hand of Esau, and he didn't mince words, talking about the fact that politicians have a hand in this, and what we call today the herdsmen, or that he said half of them are from outside of the country but paid by Nigerian politicians, whom he did not name, to carry these dastardly acts. He called it he said it was some sort of grandstanding, to bring government to its knees, and that government in itself is also not ready, because there's a list that was sent to us by the UAE, which is gathering dust somewhere. The UAE itself has locked some of these perpetrators, up in their country, but we who's suffering from these acts of terrorism have done nothing about it. Can I ask you why that is?
They should be asking the federal government why that is, because for me, I think it's very disturbing. UAE sent that list about 2 years ago, and nothing was done about the list. We're not talking about name and shame. We're talking about arrest and prosecute. You understand? Shaming will not bring back the lives that were killed during these criminal activities. So for me, I think maybe somebody somewhere is afraid of these people, I'm telling you, because nobody's above a nation. If you have most of these guys committing these criminal activities, they are not up to 1% of the Nigerian population. So why would we suffer, the entire society, because of one or two criminal elements? How big are they? Can they bombard the whole country and take us out? No. So that tells you that we need to start looking at, criminal justice system, because the criminal justice system is weak. If we have an effective criminal justice system where people who commit crime are being punished for what they do, the spate of criminal activities will be mitigated. Crime and punishment is very essential. And the whole essence of crime and punishment is, for retribution, for correction. But most times, most of these criminals, when you take them to the Nigerian prison, they come out hard enough as a criminal. So there's a big problem at hand, really hard.
We have to go on a break, but Osajie Dickson is a security consultant. He's here with us in the studio. He's a former soldier. A question I want to ask before I go on the break, I want you to think about it, is will the people, the souls that have been slaughtered over the years, like you said, they've run into thousands by now, will they ever get justice with the way that we've politicized security? I want you to think about it. It's still the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. Today, Checkpoint really is checking points around the nation, across the nation, where we're facing different kinds of insecurity, which most of us will call a hydra-headed monster. Now, we're looking not just at the problem, but solutions. My guest has preferred a bit. When we come back from the break, of course, Lagos, you'll be allowed to chime in to the conversation. It's still Hard Facts. 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Mary Anacombe. Stay with us.
January is so long, like 2 months in one, and usually you will just say, oh, we move. But wait, hold on. Move where? Is it with Sakpa on the move? Lagos. I'm sure you remember that after dirty December comes clear eye January. So please, where do you want to move to without money? How do you want to do it? Well, you don't need to bother your head because I've come with your solution. Yes, oneplay.ng. Lagos, you heard me right. Oneplay.ng. Well, this time around, oneplay.ng has decided to up the stakes. And guess what? You're still playing with 500 naira. The amount on ground now is 120,000 naira to 190,000 naira daily on Nigeria Info. You heard me right. All you have to do to partake in this is just go to oneplay.ng and play with 500 naira. Yes, that's the website, Lagos. www.oneplay.ng and play with 500 naira, and your name could be the name of the next winner here on Nigeria Info. And if you don't have a smartphone, calm down, not to worry. All you have to do is dial *347 *880 *3 hash. And if you know that you can't follow the code and you don't like the instructions that are coming after the code, well, you can avoid the stress. All you have to do is go to the website at www.oneplay.ng. There's money to be won on Morning Crossfire. There's also money to be won on WhatsApp Lagos. There's money to be won on Sunny Side, I know. And there's also extra money to be won on Game On. So Lagos, what are you waiting for? What is your issue there? Don't complain about Sapa. The more you play, the better your chances of winning. Remember, dial *347 *880 *3 hash, *347 *880 *3 hash, or you just go to the website at www.oneplay.ng and win yourself some of that money. Don't let this opportunity pass you by, Lagos. Like I say, I could have won a lot, but I'm giving this to you. So please make good use of it and thank me later.
This is
It's What's Up Lagos. 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays.
all the woulda, coulda, shoulda. What if? What must? What should? What do you think?
We call it the Museum. You call it fantastic. Mondays to Friday. Keep it locked right here on What's Up Lagos with me, Feta.
And stretch.
It's almost time for school. Oh, not that kind of school. I'm talking about the kind that determines what the next phase of your life will be, where you will spend the next 4 years soaking in knowledge with young and ambitious minds who take fearless steps to become the next generation of African leaders. A school where state-of-the-art facilities help shape your future. A school where the lessons you learn echo beyond the walls of a classroom. So when it's time to write that life-changing examination, be sure to choose a university that sets you on the path to a secure future. Wigwe University, where the fearless make history.
Now open for admissions into the 2024-2025 session. Visit www.wigweuniversity.edu.ng for more information now.
Lagos, are you ready to be heard?
Hello, good morning, the microphone heavyweight.
Oh my God, boom, boom, boom.
Hello, Kofi. Good morning. I'm a first-time caller.
It's your voice that drives the conversation on the Morning Crossfire.
They are making people feel so disappointed about politics in Nigeria.
I want to really complain about the way everything is just skyrocketing because I'm so traumatized. I don't know if the government can do something to subsidize fuel or just in a way to just help.
It is not done. It is not good. I know my right.
We want to hear from you. Your opinions, your stories, your take on the hot topics shaping our city and nation.
Join Kofi Bartels for engaging debates, expert insights, and your voice at the heart of every discussion. Don't just listen, participate. Tune in to the Morning Crossfire. Weekdays from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
Babes, I will be taking you to my village to introduce you to my parents. Mr. Man, you have jammed my jeep.
Abi, you did not see me trafficate me.
Just fix it, period, or call your insurance company.
Insurance again. Bros, I don't get you.
What? We don't have cornerstone third-party insurance policy that cover up to 3 million naira when you hit a car or damage your property.
Shield your vehicle today with a cornerstone third-party insurance that covers up to 3 million naira for third-party vehicle or property damages. You can also get cornerstone comprehensive insurance that covers both accidental damage, loss, or damage resulting from fire or theft, and lots more. Call 012-806-500 or visit cornerstone.com.ng now. Cornerstone, the future assured.
Have you seen the new Mirinda 60cl bigger bottle? Is plenty. It's got got a new look, refreshing taste, and the size. You can legit start drinking at 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m. Okay, I exaggerated, but you get the drift.
Get more refreshment and more enjoyment from Mirinda's 60cl bigger bottle. Also available in pineapple flavor. Mirinda's 60cl bigger bottle. More refreshment and more enjoyment is plenty.
Guy, if I tell you see all this plenty airtime and data, where they take flex? Now dash glow dash me, you go believe.
Dash get for this kind of economy. I beg you.
Dey there now. As I buy my glow sim like this, spirit, I first collect 1,000 naira welcome bonus. Sarah. As I come recharge, bam, glow knock me 10 times airtime bonus. I also enjoy double data. Join.
Wait, oh, you mean 1,000 naira welcome bonus?
Yes.
Plus 10 times airtime bonus?
Yes.
Plus double data again?
Yes,
But where should I now?
The glow break at the universe now. You want try?
Oh, more. No wonder boys they flex anyhow on top phone 247 non-stop. Hey, I talk calm.
My people, not let grass grow under your Lego. Go get your glow sim today. Dial star 777 hash to buy and enjoy 10 times airtime bonus plus up to double data. Offer day for both new and existing subscribers them.
Glow Unlimited.
It is easier to talk of poverty than to think of the poor.
I've gone further to negotiate with the European Union by December this year. 4,000 MOUs will be deployed in Europe.
To create a minimum standard of life below which no human being can fall is the elementary duty of the democratic state.
Kill corruption in our society. Let's be poor. Breathe. Don't suffocate them.
133 million Nigerians in multi-dimensional poverty is an open belt.
We're seeing in Nigeria today. It's a tragedy that we are all witnessing because as we see things falling apart, the pressure instead is corruption.
And the people rail.
So the poor now is choking. The poor is suffocating.
Against politicians who equivocate.
People are not going to vote because everybody's angry with the government.
Theorize, postulate, dramatize.
I cannot vote anybody. I cannot vote for anybody again.
While the trite politics reduce even our very culture to the level of our poverty. And so, you must know that not chance, not odds, but choice is the most fortunate of our options. The people must choose the state. On Nigeria Info. Coming soon.
I love my job as an HR manager, but I also love my weekends because I get to relax, spend time with family, and catch up with all the latest TV shows. But it's hard to relax when my phone is always buzzing. I have to sort out health-related issues for my colleagues because our HMO account rep is unreachable. Imagine my relief after signing with Reliance HMO and I have not received a single call from a colleague about any weekend issues. Even better, they can't stop telling me how glad they are that we've switched to a healthcare partner that's there when we need them. Now, I can finally enjoy my weekends, confident my team is cared for. Thank you, Reliance HMO, for giving me back my weekends. Sign up with Reliance HMO today.
For more information, call 0700 735 42623. Reliance HMO, the next generation HMO for business.
Who says you can't have it all with one play?
I got that defined, but you have just won yourself.
Congratulations.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, Melitus. One player, don't talk to 2 players because you won 20K.
So now you won yourself 20,000 naira. My name is Well Done. Okay, well done. We want to tell you, well done. You won yourself 20,000 naira.
With 500 naira, you can play to win big from 120,000 naira to 190,000 naira daily on Nigeria Info. Go to oneplay.ng and play with 500 naira. And in a few seconds, your ticket is in the draw. Or dial *347 *880 *3#. Win daily on Nigeria Info. 50,000 naira on Morning Crossfire. 60,000 naira on WhatsApp Lagos. 20,000 naira on Sunnyside. And 60,000 naira on Game On. So Lagos, what are you waiting for? The more you play, the better your chances of winning. Remember to dial *347 *880 *3#. Play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under the age of 18.
Oh yeah, give me confirm. Turn it up loud. Keep it confirm. 9 times bonus. Very confirm. God data text. Very confirm.
Enjoy 9 confirms with 1,000 Naira. Activation bonus 900% bonus on every recharge. Double data bonus on your first month recharge and a whopping 100% data bonus for 6 months. Get a new SIM or dial *1400# to migrate.
9 Mobile.
Hello there, I'm Dan. Exactly 7 months ago, I was frustrated because of unemployment and failed business attempts. Then I discovered the ALX Tech program, a game changer. It is convenient, affordable. I have tutors who are very accessible. Today, my life has changed for the better. I have multiple job offers and about to launch my tech-driven business. Why? My new tech skills, of course. The power is in your hands. Stop burning daylight and visit www.alxafrica.ng to enroll for any of the 2024 programs. For lovers of Instagram, check out their handle at ALX Nigeria for the latest updates and events. Start your 2024 with ALX. Power your future in tech.
Mom, how many cubes of sugar and milk can I use, please?
John, just add 1 spoonful of milk and 3 cubes of sugar.
Auntie, do you still buy cocoa, milk, and sugar, then mix together in this economy?
Of course, yes.
You should try John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate drink.
What's that?
John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate drink has a good blend of rich cocoa, milk, and sugar. It's the answer to your busy schedule. Just add water and stir.
Really?
It's delicious, nourishing, and convenient to make. Plus, it dissolves fast.
John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate drink is good for busy mornings, on-the-go lunches, and those after-school snacks. You won't need milk or sugar. Just add water for instant goodness any time of the day. John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate drink is available nationwide in stores and supermarkets. Enjoy instant goodness of rich cocoa, milk, and sugar with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate drink.
No matter what I do, you love me unconditionally. You show up for me every day, no matter when I show you.
A mother's love is unconditional. Nothing serves this love better than a bowl of Indomie. So, show some love with Indomie.
Everyone is at the table for lunch. Mom is bringing in the jollof rice. And then...
John!
Sorry, Mom.
Hello? Can I order some jollof rice to be delivered?
Mama saves the day. Lunch is here.
Mom, I got some Coke too.
Just come and eat, Joe.
Cook up memorable moments because family lunch and an ice-cold Coke make a recipe for wonder. Coca-Cola, real wonder.
It's almost time for school. Oh, not that kind of school. I'm talking about the kind that determines what the next phase of your life will be, where you will spend the next 4 years soaking in knowledge with young and ambitious minds who take fearless steps to become the next generation of African leaders. A school where state-of-the-art facilities help shape your future. A school where the lessons you learn echo beyond the walls of a classroom. So when it's time to write that life-changing examination, be sure to choose a university that sets you on the path to a secure future. Wigwe University, where the fearless make history.
Now open for admissions into the 2024-2025 session. Visit www.wigweuniversity.edu.ng for more information now.
The auditions for the Abeg to Differ Secondary School Debate Competition have been extended. Hurry now. Enter for the chance to compete with the best of the best debaters in Lagos, Abuja, and Rivers. To begin, visit www.nigeriainfo.fm. Click on the Abeg to Differ banner on the homepage. Pick one topic from the list provided. Argue 2 minutes in favor and 2 minutes against the topic. Upload your 4-minute audio recording in MP3 format. Complete the registration form and submit your entry. Ensure you give it your best shot. Auditions close on the 14th of January 2024. For sponsorship, call 070-3498-4352 or send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I beg to differ. Season 7.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info. Your mic is always on. Let's talk.
Yes, it is still Checkpoint 99.3 Nigeria Info. And today we're looking and addressing the security concerns across the country. And my guest is Osajie Dickson. He is a security consultant and he's also a former soldier in the Nigerian army. And he's been giving us his perspective on why he thinks that crime continues to fester in our country. Now, he's also said that it's not that we're never going to live with it, but we could reduce it to its barest minimum. Now, I asked a question before we went on that break, Osajie. Can we or will those people that have been killed in their numbers, will they ever get justice? With the way, look at the government that we've had, consistently from the start of 1999 till now. Does it look like justice will ever be served for the people? Again, I'll ask a two-pronged question. The people who are protecting us, your boys, the army, the soldiers, the Navy, the Air Force, how protected, how well taken care of are they? Because we need to be able to be certain that the guys who are policing us are also properly taken care of, so that they do not become sellouts. And I'm not in any way saying that your people are sellouts, but you know what I mean.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. Fantastic question. I was watching a video during the DDR process of the repented, quote unquote,
repentant Boko
Haram. I really don't know the parameters that was used to measure their repentance. Maybe they went to altar call, or I don't know. For me, I saw some of them eating sardine, geisha, lovely meal, beautiful meal. And the first thing that came to my mind, I said, these were the guys that killed those that were meant to protect the Nigerian state. And those guys that were killed in action, our military officers and men, they're not even well fed. They're not as fair as these guys that claim they have repented. If you observe majority of the crime rate, like the banditry, you can tell the tactics and methodology these guys are using in their operation is somewhat similar with the tactics and the methodology they're using in the Northeast. So maybe somebody is claiming to be repented, claims to have repented, then go and be a bandit because it has been commercialized in the sense that they've seen it as a money venture. It's no longer ideological driven. In the early days when the Boko Haram war sprang up, it was termed as an ideological driven war where they claim that Western education is sin. Now Western education is no longer sin. All they do is just to pick the Nigerian people on the highway, take them to one or two locations, and they get money as their ransom. The train station attack in Kaduna State is also a disturbing situation. You can see what happened. Almost everybody on that kidnapped train paid to get
themselves off
the hook.
Yes.
So if you ask me if these people that are being killed will ever get justice, I don't think so. Because people have been dying every day in Nigeria, and nobody cares to do something about it. It's not all about punishment. We just think that justice must be served. Justice must be served. Yes, I agree. Justice must be served. Punishment must be served. Those that carry out these criminal activities must be arrested. But just what we call restorative justice. Do we have restorative justice in Nigeria? Restorative justice in the sense that victims of crime are restored back to their state of life, back to normalcy, emotionally, psychologically, physiologically, physically, financially. They must be restored. That is one beautiful thing about restorative justice. Even our soldiers, officers and men who were killed in the battlefield, do they also have restorative justice? The civilians in the northwest, northeast, and other parts of the country, do they also have restorative justice? So I will advise our government to start looking at restorative justice and not just crime and punishment. Even if the criminal justice system that comprises of the police, the courts, the prison, trying to do what they know how to do best. We should have an agency that will be in charge of restorative justice, whereby victims of crime are not left condemned, are not left destroyed. Because most times crime also, if you look at the motivational, the causative factors of crime in some area, sometimes victims of crime tries to take revenge and hit back at the society, hit back at the government. And government also must see themselves in the area of terrorism as also victims of crime. Because in terrorism management, the first victim is government, not the person that was killed. Oh yes, it was killed in action, but it doesn't have any. For example, if Mr. A is traveling to the northeast and being captured by Boko Haram, beheaded and killed, he didn't offend those guys. They are trying to get at the state, because the whole essence of terrorism is to get at the state, embarrass the state, and subdue the states and subvert the government. So victims of crime must be well taken care of by our government, so that most of them don't live with pain, we don't live with disability, don't live with, don't be handicapped, till end of time. We need to start assisting those guys so that things will go on well. Restorative justice is important.
Restorative justice. Well, Lagos, join the conversation. We've got about 8 minutes on the clock. 0700 993 993. My guest is a security consultant and he's also an ex-soldier. We're talking about insecurity, not just in Lagos. Do you know that in Lagos, half the time, the guy who's trying to act like a beggar in traffic has a gun. He has a knife. He's trying to attack you. And these are things that people have experienced daily in traffic in Lagos. Like I told you in Abuja, I just realized that the airport is bare, is the least protected place in the FCT. And that in itself is a bad thing. And there's so many things and so many places that need policing but are under-policed. And do we even have enough people to police these places? So again, we find ourselves in between a rock and a hard place. But would like to hear your thoughts. Join the conversation. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good evening, Miriam. Good evening to your guest.
Good evening. You have 60 seconds, quickly.
All right. In your side, when you were discussing this evening, you said it is wrong for the government to, bargain with these bandits. Honestly, I think you're very correct. Now, it's also on ground that he said they may likely not get justice. So we've been saying this, they should go ahead and carry arms. What's your take on that? That's number one. Number two, sir, please. The president did not make mention of this in his speech. When you heard his speech, how did you feel with all those people that died? No empathy. How did you feel, sir? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Want to share?
Nobody want to see people being killed. First time when an incident transpired, the first thing that comes to my mind, I would say, what if it was me? What goes there? So for me, I think the area of bargaining, that side is settled, because when you bargain with the devil, you are calling for more criminals, and your country will never be secured. What you need to do is to ensure you use carrot and stick approach. Hey guys, if you're not ready to leave this thing you're doing, you're going to be decimated. So for me, I'm of the opinion that our government should never, ever bargain with criminals.
Okay. All right. Another call here. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts. Sorry about that. Do call us back. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Suleiman Hamza. I'm calling from Victoria Island.
Suleiman, you have 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me just make it a bit brief.
Mm-hmm.
The problem of insecurity can only be solved when there is justice. That is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you an example quickly. What happened in around 2014, 2013 or so. Boko Haram came to my area in Tarari local government, Kano State. They killed police officer, I think he's retired or so. That was around 9 a.m. in the morning. The police came to raid the street or the area by 4, and they arrested some, as usual, youths. They took them to the station. My brother happens to be the victims. When I went there for bail, I met a boy also around 20, 25 or so. His parents came to bail him. And what happened? The boy was saying in their presence as Airport Police Division that if I knew where Boko Haram are, I would go and join them. What have I done wrong to get arrested? I'm in my house doing nothing. I'm not even eating. Now I get arrested. So what have I done wrong? If I knew where they are, I would go and join Boko Haram.
All right. Lastly, what's your question? Because we need to.
So the question is that what is the government doing in order to solve this problem?
Okay.
That's my question. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Unfortunately, he's not the government. He might not necessarily be able to answer that question, but he'll keep it in mind. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good evening, Marianne.
Good evening. You've got 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, first off, your guest seems not to address the issue of perhaps restructuring, of which there should be some decentralization of security architecture, of which the local government and states will be able to have some sort of security personnel that carry arms.
Mm-hmm.
Then secondly, are there saboteurs in the military, with his experience, because sometimes the way they kill the members of the Nigeria army, I know they are well trained, they can't be people who just be falling like that. Are they saboteurs in the military? Okay. And then with his experience so far, that is the third question. Is there any motivation for people joining the military, or the youth of these days just to be joining the military because there is no job,
all right,
on the street? Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling.
Okay, fantastic question. Well, for me, most guys that join the military is love for the country. I joined the military in 1998 for love of Nigeria. My elder brother joined for the love for this nation. My younger brother still serving, 23 years of experience, joined for love of nation. But I tell you for now, because of the risk implication against our military, most guys are not willing to go and join. And if you check the military now, those that are joining the military, they're not children of elite. Let me use the word, the middle class children. They don't join the military. Even soldiers' children join the military. My father was a soldier. He enlisted myself and my two other brothers, that is 3 of his sons, to serve the Nigerian state. So that is one of the challenges in the area of the military. Then in the area of his brother being arrested in the police station, that's one of the problems we're having as well. So information management is also very essential for our security agent. Don't capitalize on criminal activities to extort the Nigerian people. That was very, very bad.
Someone who talks about the issue of you not addressing restructure, talking about local governments and states and the roles they play.
He talks about a security system. Presently, we are practicing a centralized policing system.
Yeah.
Until we decentralize, because one man in Abuja cannot, take charge of 36 states. Nigeria is too big for one man to rule as a police station, as a policeman. So what they need to do is to decentralize our policing system and ensure that we carry out crime prevention through environmental design, in which communities take charge of their security system. State of insecurity will be mitigated because you don't need to wait for Abuja to respond.
All right. Well, let me read a few messages because we have just 2 minutes before we wrap up things in the studio. Someone says, corruption in Nigeria goes beyond looking for... Okay, I don't think this is for me. He says, insecurity in Nigeria has been commercialized. Next to politics is insecurity as the most lucrative business. Tola from Ikorodu. Shala here says, I'd like to... Mary Ann and Mr. Dickson. Okay. It's always a pleasure listening to Mr. Dickson. Just as I said, I no longer feel remorseful once I hear of killings. Like life no longer matters. We're getting used to bad news of killings in Nigeria. Only raise our voices when the number of dead is above 100 in a single attack. Ezekiel from Ejigbo. I can read another one. This one says, this is Jaja. You took the question out of my mouth. What is the military's position on the list of terror sponsors in Nigeria? How does the military feel that they lose soldiers to terrorism and the federal government knows who's responsible for the killing of these soldiers? Has the federal government not committed treason, which is punishable by death? I don't know how you want Dickson to answer this question, but Dickson, attempt in 25 seconds.
Well, the military is not a prosecuting agency. What they need to do, what they are meant to do is to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria.
Yeah.
They can also arrest those people and also hand them over to the police. For me, for the government to have, not taken that serious, the UAE government will know that, yes, we are joking with terrorism, and I think they will.
That's why they don't even bother anymore.
They believe the government has hands in it.
Well, unfortunately, I wish this conversation could go on because I have so many messages and the phone lines are buzzing, but we cannot. I have 55 seconds. Dickson Osajie is a security consultant and he's also a former soldier who served with the Nigerian Army. Thank you, Dickson. Always a pleasure to have you in the studio, and Happy New Year once again.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Hope that you can come soon when we call you.
Oh, sure. When you get to the checkpoint, identify yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much. Lagos, we have to go on a quick break. When we come back on the other side, we'll be talking about our budget. Kolawole Oluwadare, who is the Deputy Director of SERAP, will be here in the studio to look at some of the concerns in the budget and, of course, what's happening in the humanitarian ministry with Better Edu. Stay with us. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.